I'm right in your shot. Sorry, Krishan. Am I
Really?
Am I out of it now?
Yeah.
Am I out of your shot?
No, you know where you're right in the middle of my shot.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm coming. Okay, go ahead now. Sorry about that. Hey, I'm Stephanie.
I'm Kaya.
And I'm Chris.
And welcome to Our Story. Today we're at Riverstone Park in Coeur, Alene, Idaho.
Let's take a look.
Well, let me just tell you, that was pretty funny. I really did think I was out of the shot.
No, she didn't.
Yes, I did.
That is the story
I mean, I
of
stepped
my life.
into the shot. I did. I stepped into the shot.
But that's the
But I
adventure.
thought I was out of the shot because I thought you were zooming in.
But that's the adventure in our relationship. You know, that's the spice of life that you gotta find. You know, without that, life would be boring.
That is true. So today we're visiting, what was it called?
Riverstone Park.
Riverstone. I was going to say Riverfront, but that's wrong, right, Kaya?
Yes.
So Riverstone Park, and that's in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, which is about, what do you guys say, a 10, 15-minute drive up the road, right up the road, right? Because we live right on the border of Washington and Idaho. And the first thing we saw when we went out there was ducks. And I mean, there's a lot of them.
Yes, a lot of ducks. And it was very interesting because at first when you walked out there, you saw them all on the grass. You're like, oh, they must be really socialized. Then you walked up closer and realized that they were being fed. And you're like, that's why. That's why they're on the grass.
But what were they being fed?
I don't think we want to go into detail on that.
We won't go into details. But I thought it was really cool because usually ducks or geese or different wildlife, they run away.
Right.
But this time they were actually coming toward us. So I thought that was really interesting. And everybody was able to get really good shots.
Yes, they were very beautiful. There were a couple of really good pictures to get of the ducks.
Yeah, there were many good pictures to get. And as you can see in this video, you know, Stephanie and I were really trying to, embrace this new hobby we have. Soon we'll be empty nesters with our young one, Kaya, going off to college next year. So we're trying to just find different ways to occupy our time. You know, raising a child is a full-time job. You know, it takes your full-time attention. And we're trying to get back into the pace of things to, being able to enjoy our company and find things that we like to do.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think Kaya's getting a little interested in photography too. I think it'd be fun if she had her own camera, but she is using her iPhone and she definitely has a really good eye for photography. I think, don't you have a class coming up, Kaya? You want to tell them about?
Right. So it was quite a coincidence. I was signing up for my next classes for the fall starting. I'm doing the Running Start program here in Washington State where I'm taking college classes in high school. And our English 102 book is How Photography Changes Things. And I was like, well, that's quite a coincidence since we're all doing photography.
So should we be expecting an A in that class, Kaya?
I think so. I hope so, at least. I think it'd be very disappointing if I didn't.
I don't know. A lot of kids in the United States fail English class. So.
Oh, wow. But we were just saying because it's emphasis on photography.
Well, they speak English all day long. And you still can't get that class right.
So this particular day, it was pretty hot. I don't know that I looked at the temperature, but I forgot to wear my my sunblock by mistake. I usually am pretty good about that. So you'll see me in the video. I'm kind of hiding here and there underneath the trees just to catch a little bit of the breeze and to be out of the sun. But I felt like we had a really good time. I think this is a really good example of how you can go to a small park and really get some really exciting photos. I used to think that we'd have to go somewhere super exciting and we'd have to travel for hours and hours to really get some really nice shots. But I'm starting to realize that right in your backyard, you can really get some really good shots. And so I think this was definitely an example of that.
Yeah, so what I try to do is sometimes I'll go off there with no idea in mind of what I want to take pictures of. And other times when we go to a place like this, I'll go online and I'll see what other people have done in similar situations. Like before I went home, I looked up lake shots. Because I think that's how you get better at things like this.
Right.
You see what other people have done well, and then you try to recreate it. Then you throw your creativity on top of that to come up with something even better. You know, like I've said before, Stephanie and I will be empty nesters soon, and we're going to be able to go to some amazing places in the near future. But for now, we have to find that beauty in our backyard.
Oh, yeah.
And one way to kind of extend that enjoyment is to find those pictures that people have already done well and then try to recreate them so that when we go these places where we spend a lot of money to get there, we'll already be well versed in how to get those excellent shots.
Yeah, and Kaya is going off to school. You want to tell them how many schools that you applied to and what schools?
So I applied to 5 schools. I applied to Washington State University, University of Washington, Columbia University, University of Illinois, and Central Washington University. And I feel like they always ask me, like, oh, how do you feel about you going off to college soon? And I feel like there's a lot of emphasis put on it, but right now I'm not really focused on how I feel about it since I have so many other things going on. And I was going to add, they're not really giving this park enough credit. There were a lot of amazing statues out in this park, and it really wasn't in our backyard since it was in the state over, but it really had a lot of things to bring, even though it wasn't a big, extravagant location.
And I think you missed Gonzaga, too. It's on your
Gonzaga
list.
University.
Yeah.
Oops.
You also call it the University of Illinois. We got family there, so it's Illinois. I'll never hear the end of it.
Okay.
God.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is really cool. Krishan, what would you say was one of the with statues or animals, what one element did you enjoy shooting?
So I'll tell you one that I did not enjoy shooting. So the ducks, I always look for those really rich colors. Mm-hmm. And when I went and saw the ducks, I was looking for one of the green ducks, one of the green head. When you see in all the pictures. I found one, but I didn't realize how beat up this duck was. And to add there, I looked at him
Was he in a
afterwards.
duck fight?
Yeah, he looked like he
He's
had
in a duck fight.
looked like he had been a couple rounds. Look, he ran into a Vander Holyfield of ducks out there or something. But so I took quite a few pictures of that duck, and then when I got it in post, I was like, yeah, maybe should have sticking to the brown ducks. Another thing that was not enjoyable was I tried to get pictures of the hummingbirds. It's one of those things where I didn't go out there expecting to see hummingbirds, but when I saw them, I tried to whip the camera around and get them, but they were faster than me and they flew off.
I think my most favorite part of this particular park were the statues. You'll see we've got some other amazing statues coming up, but it was just so amazing, just the different skills and abilities these artists have. And I think, they were just so wonderful. My most favorite one was with the horse and the cowboy and the bear. So I think when they came over to the West and started developing the West, I believe it was probably a lot of cowboys and bears that came in contact with one another. And I think that is how that statue was made, or definitely two statues in one, how that was made. And I just think that it was just beautiful because they're like life size and actually bigger than life size. But that was my favorite part. We're just seeing all the statues and taking pictures and showing my interpretation after post-production on those. So.
And one thing I tried to work on in these pictures was, with the statues, I tried to focus on the emotion I wanted the viewer to have. Like, I don't know if we have that picture in here, the black and white picture of
the lady the crazy lady on the bicycle.
Yes,
yeah,
so
you guys will see that soon.
I wanted to
Y'all
try.
just look at her face.
I wanted to try.
She's been through some things.
I wanted to try to elicit a certain emotion, because I think art is about that. Art is just not just what you see with your eyes, but what you feel as well. Mm-hmm. And I think that with photography, I think you can do that. You can try to take the viewer to a place. I think it's kind of like, you got to figure out what's the tone of the picture, what's the emotion you want to convey, not just the picture you want people to see.
I love this waterfall shot.
Yes.
It looks like there are colors in it.
Yes, it does.
But they aren't.
Yeah.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, I did that on purpose.
Is that not the light playing on the colors?
Yeah, it's the light playing on the water, but I messed around with the shutter speed. I wanted to do a really fast one to kind of freeze the water in place just to see how the light would play with each individual water drop.
Well, you did that because I was like, wow, that is amazing. And it shows you don't need a full large waterfall to get a nice waterfall shot. What do you think about that, Kaya?
I thought it was very interesting because I tried to capture it on my phone. It didn't turn out as nice, anywhere near as nice. But I did think that what was interesting was under the bridge, they had like the bottoms of a train in the waterfall. And it was very interesting how they put that piece of old technology in with nature that they created. So it was really nice.
Yeah, that was cool. Kaya and I came upon it. I was like, what is that? And she said, I think it's the underside of a train. And I was like, yeah, it is. That was really cool. I guess they just threw it out there and it just became a part of the landscape. Yeah. That was really cool. So I was thinking about this photography class you're going to be taking, Kaya. Are you going to be cheating and ask Adams questions?
No, unfortunately, it's not actually a photography class.
Oh, okay.
And fortunately enough, I have,
Sad.
upstanding values. But I think that it would be interesting to see how an English class will tie in photography. Because usually in English classes, a book normally that analyzes a topic.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe this is analyzing. I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So.
Oh, okay.
But I think literature and English and photography, they're all related. You're really trying to take the viewer or the reader on a journey. I always tell when I come across a dilemma at work, I'll tell my colleagues, hey, paint me a word picture. And I think you can do the same thing with film, with books, and with photography. If you really put forth the effort, you put some thought in, you can convey more than just what's obvious to the eye.
So I am learning a little something from Kaya, and that is get every shot she gets. So right around this time, I started learning that she's got a pretty good eye for sure. So I'm like, hey, Kaya, what shot you get now? And she was like, oh, I'm getting this shot. So you'll see me right here. I'm behind the horse, and she got a silhouette shot that I actually tried to emulate. And I thought I did a pretty good job, and I turned it black and white. It's coming up here in just a minute. I turned it black and white to capture, like I'm watching a show called 1883, and it really kind of captures that 1883 essence when they came over and developed the West. Kaya was like, hey, get this shot. So I did, and I thought it came out really well. So thank you, Kaya. For your expertise on shot taking.
I think also it comes into play since you're talking about how we are in the Western region, that really, from my memory, when we lived back east, I really didn't see things like this, or at least not with these types of statues. It's interesting to compare where we've been in the past to where we are now, and to see the differences in culture and what they highlight in their parks and in their community centers.
I think the same thing, but I also think we have to take into consideration, we have to take these statues with a grain of salt. There are many different sides of the stories of these statues, and I always try to, pay respect to the people who were there performing, both the Native Americans who were traditionally on the land, as well as the explorers who came out west to settle here. So I always try to keep that in mind, and respect the land. That's why when I take my pictures, I always try to present them in a way that shows honor, respect, and beauty.
This particular statue reminded me, I told Kaya, of the Wizard of Oz.
Right.
The lady that's riding her bike with Toto
In the
basket in the tornado. Yeah, I'm like, man, that's exactly what it reminds me of. And you'll see her face. She looks interestingly happy. How would you describe it?
I would describe it as genuine joy.
Genuine joy?
Genuine joy.
Crazy joy.
I thought it was interesting because sometimes it doesn't come out in the picture. She actually had two dogs by her wheels, one in the back and one in the front. And I thought it was interesting how they decided to capture her with the dogs, and then the old-timey bike and the old-timey clothes, and how she was extremely happy. And it kind of makes you wonder what the sculpture was made for. What was the meaning behind it?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So this is on the other side of the park. They have a dog park down here where the dogs run, and they also had like place for boating and what were they doing? The skiing?
Jet skiing.
The jet skiing, and it was all kind of stuff going on, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. And I had never seen a park like this before. We've been all over the country, but this is the first time I've seen where the city actually put a dog park on the water, so the dogs can actually get out in the water but still be contained in the area. I did walk up and ask one of the guys if I could take pictures of his dog while he was in the water, which was a mistake because the dog immediately splashed me and all my camera equipment. But
and then as soon as the dog jumped in, you had turned your back and then he got out and then didn't want to jump back in again. So sad.
Yep, I tried to step out there and try to expand my horizons, but the dog was not having any of that.
Okay, well, we're really hoping that you guys are enjoying this content, and we definitely had a good time that day. Would you say it's super windy out there?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much for watching, and we're going to toss it right back to the outro. Well, that was the video, and we want to thank you so much for watching. And don't forget, do something nice for someone today, and you can do it.
And don't forget to shine as bright as the stars in our galaxy.
And don't forget, we're just ordinary people trying to do extraordinary things.
We love it.